YouTube is testing a 3 strikes you're out policy for anyone using an ad blocker, as opposed to the objectively better 3 strikes you get a turkey policy. And that's a bowling joke, baby. GameLinked has launched, though this is a bowling channel now. I'm James Stribe, this is TechLinked, and this is the pop-up a Reddit user saw on YouTube stating that they must disable their ad block after watching 3 videos. Which is super weird. YouTube is basically telling users that installing adblock will get them 3 free adless videos without paying for premium. Like movie theater staff catching you after you snuck in, but letting you watch a little bit more. YouTube says they're trying to convince users to allow ads or pay for YouTube Premium by running a small experiment globally, which I think automatically qualifies it as a large experiment. Makes about as much sense as being told, your dog slightly exploded.
Or for me, a Thursday.
YouTube says users will receive several notifications requesting they allow ads, and in extreme cases, disable playback on accounts that don't comply to repeated requests. Our team here at TechLink tried to get a comment on the news from alt-tech video website Rumble, but we couldn't hear them over the sound of their entire office salivating.
They got a gland issue.
AMD announced the surprise launch of a brand new 5000 series CPU, the Ryzen 5 5600X3D. Another 3D V-Cache style chip targeted at gamers that could be even the best bang for the buck chip in recent memory, according to Tom's Hardware, who probably doesn't sound like that.
Could even be pretty good even.
So naturally, it's a limited run product and exclusively available at US retailer Micro Center, the smallest of all centers. It's just not for you if you don't live in America, and that's not AMD's fault. It's your parents for birthing you in the wrong country. Don't forget to call your mom later this weekend and yell at her.
Look, Mom.
According to Gamers Nexus, AMD says these chips are basically bad yields of the 5800X3D, so they decided to sell them to make more money instead of feeding them to the fledgling AI superintelligence slowly gaining physical form in their mailroom.
I need chips.
Sea monkeys. AI sea monkeys. It's coming in at the low price of $230. Not bad for basically the technological equivalent of a girl baby born in ancient Sparta. Or for just $50 more, a patriotic American can buy the normal 5800X3D at the exact same store. Not all bad batches are as cool as Star Wars would lead you to believe.
Clones are people too.
Not yet. And Google continues to make Android, the iOS alternative whose defining feature is that it's open source, less open source. The company has quietly deprecated support for the dialer and messaging apps included in the Android open source project. Searching for the 2 apps in the Android code search directory now leads to a simple message reading, "This app is not actively supported and the source code is only available as a reference." Possibly the coldest breakup message I've ever read, except for Nicola's, although I'm not sure she was entirely human.
Oh, we made it personal.
She won't see this. What this means is that anyone who wants to create or maintain a custom Android OS will have to develop their own texting and calling application so that the phone will work as a phone. Louis Rossmann has called Google's tendency of continually and quietly removing features from the open source version of Android a death by 1,000 cuts, as this move will make it harder to use non-Google services on Android. Because, fun fact about Google services, or really services by any tech giant, be it Samsung or Xiaomi, they like to take your data. We may never know why they do this. Perhaps it's just a harmless hobby like collecting postage stamps that can also be aggregated and sold to advertisers for a massive profit. Like postage stamps, some of them.
Now it's time for Quick Bits, brought to you by Supermicro. Their H13 generation servers offer the next level of server performance. Even better than those servers that make cherries jubilee at your dinner table. You tip them well. Powered by AMD's EPYC 9004 processors with a staggering 128 cores and AMD 3D V-Cache technology, Supermicro's H13 servers are designed to handle the most demanding workloads. And they offer unmatched scalability and memory expansion options so you can get down to business. Not fooling around. Boost your infrastructure with the highest core count on a single processor and blazing fast performance for memory intensive tasks. Visit the link in the description for more information on their AMD powered server tech today.
Did you know that we're the only show on the internet featuring quick bits, other than GameLinked, the hot new gaming news channel that everyone's talking about, even Linus Tech Tips? We are, and they are.
It's just helping us a small channel.
Some Reddit moderators were threatened with removal this week if they kept their subreddits private in protest of the site's API changes. It makes sense, since the full blackout protests earlier this month dropped daily traffic by 7% and advertiser traffic by 20% for days afterward. Now, Microsoft developer Mojang announced they will no longer be supporting the game's official subreddit, probably because they've already had their fill of controversies. Remember Notch? Mojang would prefer you didn't. The performance issues reported by many owners and reviewers of the ROG Ally handheld may be due to the device cooking its microSD cards, and we're not talking sous vide. Is it a sous vide?
Sous vide.
Sous vide.
Living the vida sous vide.
Living the sous vide Loki. Turns out the Ally's microSD slot is positioned directly over the device's heat exhaust, which can, according to Jeff Gertzman, get so hot that it pushes the card out on its own within 5 minutes of gaming. Now that's a Genshin impact. Asus told users to reach out to technical support if they're experiencing such issues and prefer their SD cards to be served over easy rather than scrambled.
Tastes a little different.
I'd say they're poached.
Put some salt and pepper in.
Phone monitoring app LetMeSpy has suffered a major data breach, exposing sensitive data of both users and their victims. This is problematic. The app sells itself as a way to spy on your children and or employees, or your children employees, but not like in a weird way, just some light stalking between the family. The leak has exposed the calls, message history, and location data of many unsuspecting employed children, while also exposing that many parents/bosses were actually government officials or even US college students. Hey Chad, congrats on your A+ grade in Stalking 101.
I knew you would join the art club without me.
If Zuck had this in college, he wouldn't have needed to build Facebook. Researchers at the University of Maryland, the merriest of all lands, are trying to reconstruct physical spaces in 3D using only the reflection in a human eye. By calculating where the eye was looking and the texture of the cornea, researchers, who are huge nerds, were able to make a blurry composite of the room around them, at least in a controlled setting. Trying to use the same technique on stills from music videos only produce vague blobs reminiscent of maybe camera equipment and what might be the photographer's torso, if they had a torso. You might view that as a failure, but it also could be that Lady Gaga's camera guy is an AI-generated camera guy and just didn't come out right.
Use a different prompt.
You can't mess up the hands if they ain't got hands. And Japanese researchers have developed Dr. Octopus-style robot arms they hope will unlock creativity, of all things, even though it looks like they might also unlock back pain. But apparently not. They're actually so comfortable that you can dance with them on. The arms are detachable and swappable, which according to the head researcher was inspired by a famous Japanese short story where a woman detaches one of her arms and loans it to a man for the night. Now that's a stranger. Truly nothing embodies the creative spirit quite like Japanese body horror.
What was he using the arm for?
And nothing will embody the spirit of tech news quite like Monday. When you come back and watch the next episode of Tech Linked, I promise there will only be 2 arms present on screen.
I can't promise that.
These guys.
So please! No, he's too buff!